Hey, hi all. Welcome back to BLR Knowledge Center. The continuation part of the web technologies, which we have discussed in the earlier session. So, in this session, we are going to concentrate on two things. So, one thing is type of websites, and second thing is the differences between these websites. Uh, Coming to the types of websites, the web is very vast. So, as of now, there are billion of websites in online, so all competing for some share of attention people give to their online browsing each day, right? So when you're starting to create a new website, so it can be overwhelming to think about all the other websites out there, right? So you must think that like what are all the websites already we have in the internet in that world. So based on that, so you need to take care of actions and the finds to be considered as part of creating a new website. So apart from the types of websites, I can say there are different type of websites which basically kind of not exactly the kind of types of websites, but we should also consider them as a different kind of websites. So if you look at the e-commerce websites, right? So like daily you are purchasing and selling of your products or purchasing some online products from online sites. So this e-commerce website is a website people can directly buy the required products from there. You probably used a number of e-commerce websites before, so most bigger hands and plenty of smaller ones have one, and any website that indicates that includes a shopping cart and a way for you to provide a credit card information to make a purchase will comes into this category called e-commerce. Let me quickly open now my notepad or whiteboard and explain you what are all different category of websites we have. So different category of websites. This is not no exactly matching with our current topic like types of website, but we should also think about the existing websites, which is having different purposes and having different kind of content sharing for the users. So first one is e-commerce websites, right? E-commerce websites. This is one kind of one category of website. So as I mentioned, e-commerce website is a website people can directly buy a product. So any website which is including a shopping cart and kind of a way of for you to provide a credit card information. So to make a purchase, all these websites comes under this particular e-commerce. And in another way, we have business websites, right? This is another category of website. So a business websites is any website that is devoted to representing a specific business, right? The website which is exploring or describing representing some relevant or specific business is called a website, business website. It should be branded like the business. So and perspective, and then the internal perspective again, it is having kind of marketing stuff and having some benefits to their business. So the same logo and the positioning, and communicating your type of products and services the business is offering, all these comes under business websites. And if you see another websites, entertainment websites. So these are other category websites, right? So, if you think about your internet browsing habits, so you can probably think of a few websites that you visit purely for entertainment purposes, right? So there could be kind of humor websites like the Onion webcomic, right? Or just websites with the fun of interesting content like BuzzFeed, right? So all these comes under kind of entertainment websites, right? So if you look at Amazon Prime Video website or Netflix or AHA, so these are all entertainment websites. And other websites we can see that portfolio websites. These are other category websites. So portfolio websites, right? So these websites are sites, devoted to showing examples of past work. Service provider like who want to show potential clients the quality of the work they provide can use a portfolio website to collect some of the best samples of past work they have done, right? So this type of website is similar to a build than a business website and more focused on a particular task, collecting work samples. So these are basically collecting some samples based on the previous or past experience, and then keep the entire details, entire stuff into their site for devoting the representing kind of showing some examples to the users is called on a portfolio websites. And other kind of websites we have media websites. So these are the websites we usually seeing some news stories and articles, other reportings, etc. So there's some overlap here with entertainment websites, but media websites are more likely to include reported pieces in addition or instead of content meant purely for entertainment. So this category includes sites like the Washington's Post websites, Slate, or includes some of other new media streaming websites comes under these websites. And other things are non-profitable websites, kind of non-profit websites. So these are purely concentrating on giving some information to the public. So in the same way that businesses so need websites to be their online presence, right? But not for profit. So a non-profit website is the easiest way for many potential donors to make donations and will be the first place. Many people, uh, think that get the kind of engagement from the public with the website communication. So so this is the first place. Basically, many people look into to learn more about non-profit websites and determine if they want to, suppose to participate kind of stuff in different services. And again, other kind of sites you can see like educational websites where you know um, you can have it. So let me share that. And educational websites, right? So there's educational websites for keeping some instructions related to educations, and those offering online courses fall into this category of educational websites. So many websites nowadays we are seeing in internet, like providing online courses for the students, right? These are comes under educational websites. So and coming to the other websites, personal websites we may create. So other kind of websites or personal websites, and it's purely kind of a personal websites you are going to create. Not all websites exist to make money. So this is some other way to communicate people. Many people find a value in creating personal websites to put their own thoughts. And again, web portals, we have it, right? Web portals are often websites designed for internal purposes at business and organizations or institutions. So they collect information in different from different sources into one place to make all relevant information accessible to the people. So like who need to save it, right? They often involve in login and personalized views for different users that ensures that information that's accessible is most useful to their particular needs, right? And the last one kind of was wiki kind of websites or community form websites, uh, say community forum, right? Websites. So these are kind of familiar websites with wikis. Through the most of famous example, one of our they're like Wikipedia, but a wiki can be created on pretty much any subject you can imagine. A wiki is a website where various users are able to collaborate to into like these websites with the content and all make their own tweaks and changes as they see fit, right? So these are the different websites basically, but no, sorry, these are the different category of websites, but not different websites. When it comes to different website, which we talk about in the session, types of website, right? This is what our topic. Types of website, basically we have two types of websites, right? One is static website, right? You can say that is static websites. Second one is dynamic websites. These are the types of websites: static websites and dynamic websites. The main difference between these two websites is that static website is a basic website with fixed content, while the dynamic website are advanced websites that provide different content according to the client request. So only the difference between these two was the processing of, rendering the content on the browser. The process of designing and creating a website is called web development, right? When it comes to static websites, these are the basic websites with no custom coding and databases. While you dynamically, build a website, display some different content, and they based on the user request or user clicks. So a static website is a website that has fixed content. When you talk about this website, so it is, uh, it is a website, right, that has fixed content, usually written in HTML. So it is a basic website, right, and does not have a custom coding and dynamic features. It is a basic website and does not have custom coding and dynamic features, etc. So it only requires a client side language such as HTML and CSS to build the websites. So again, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, where it is having simple syntax to represent your content on the browser. So it consists of tags to build the structure of the website. CSS stands for again Cascading Style Sheet. It is used to make the website more presentable with background colors and font styles and etc. So I think we can talk about these HTML and CSS in the coming sessions in detail. So in static websites, so every page is unique and saved as a separate file with the features such as hyperlinks and images, right? So static websites are more suitable for small scale business organizations as they are easier to develop and do not require much programming skill set, right? So these are very easy. These are very easy and suitable, right, for small scale business organizations, as they are easier to develop, right, and do not require much programming. Do not require much programming skills, right? And coming to the dynamic websites, right? When you talk about dynamic, so it is a website whose content changes according to the user request. When you talk about this, it is a website whose content, right, changes according to the user's request. So the content is going to change based on the user. Like let us say, like if you have different users who are going to interact with your website, and based on the type of user, let us say like an admin user or kind of guest user, kind of customer. So based on the type of user, the content is going to change. That's how the nowadays all websites are building. So these are the dynamic websites. So it is not just read, instead it provides more user interactions and functionalities. These websites use client-side language such as HTML and CSS, as well as server-side language such as kind of ASP.NET or PHP or Java serverless and Python sometimes to develop the pages, right? So it is something advanced. So I can say it is enhanced static websites, right? Which is having client side languages as well as server side languages, right? So that you can easily put a kind of different actions for the user. So when you talk about types of websites, these are the two type of websites, I can say that. Okay, when you talk about differences, right? What are the differences between these two websites? Differences between static and dynamic, right? When you talk about differences between static and dynamic websites, so static website is a website whose web pages are coded in HTML, right? And the content of each page is fixed and does not change unless it is edited and republished. Okay, the first difference of static and dynamic is, so static website related web pages does not, static website related web pages or firstly coded in HTML, right? And the content of each page does not change unless it is edited and republished. Okay, so when it comes to dynamic website, it would be something different as soon as you change it, right? Whereas in dynamic websites, the content will get changed as soon as you save. When you talk about development, right? So the content of static website remains unchanged unless it is changed from the source code. Okay. But the content of dynamic website changes according to the client request. That is development. So the content of static website remains unchanged unless it is uh, changed from the source code, right? But when it comes to dynamic, right, it looks something different. And because as soon as you change and save the file, it is going to change it. The content of dynamic website would reflect as soon as you make change and save. And also coming to the development, I think static websites are developed using, so as I said, like, client side languages like HTML, CSS. But coming to the dynamic websites, these are developed using client side and server side languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, .NET, Python, Java, etc. Okay, so I think these 2 points covered in the top section. So we'll see development perspective. This is, and coming to the page content. I think when we talk about page content, the content of static website remain unchanged unless it is changed from the source code, right? The content of dynamic website changes according to the client request, right? The content of a static website remains unchanged, right? Unless it is changed from the source code, right? When it comes to dynamic, the content of dynamic website changes according to the right client request. This is the major difference. And coming to the user interactions, right? So one important difference between static and dynamic website is that dynamic websites allows more users because more user interaction than static website, because dynamic websites are having a provision of changing content, right? So it obviously allowing multiple users compared to the static website, right? So user interactions are more in dynamic website compared to static website. And again, you can see complexity if you talk about this difference. So furthermore, the static websites are simple and easy to program, but dynamic websites are more complex and difficult to program. That's, I think, we know that based on the languages it is supporting. So static websites are very easy to develop. Dynamic websites are, right, somewhat more complex and difficult to program because its nature having server side support. And again, database, when you talk about database, how it is fetching, right? So, moreover, the static websites do not access database, while dynamic website access information from database, because that static website doesn't have no kind of feature rendering data, different data based on the user, right? Dynamic website only having access to database. So, static websites doesn't access data from database, whereas dynamic websites have access to database to get the data based on user login, right? So and again, if you look at the cast, this is the prime area we need to look at and now compare it. So another big difference. So Static and dynamic websites, right? Static websites are cheaper to host, whereas dynamic websites are costly to host because it is having kind of support or the data accessing via different sources. So static websites are cheaper to deploy, cheaper to deploy at host. Dynamic websites are costly to deploy because it is supporting, right, server side languages and database access, right? I think this is okay. And coming to the maintenance, the last one. So it is easier to maintain dynamic website than static website because if we change the data in database, it is directly reflecting in my UI, right? Where it comes to static website, I need to locate the relevant page and I need to modify the original file because that is the static content. So if something happens in the page, I think website will collapse and website itself will not work, right? So that's why maintenance, when I talk about maintenance, right? So dynamic website, right? Maintain is very easy compared to static website. So, and coming to the usage, right? So, static websites can be used for small scale websites that do not require continuous changes. And dynamic websites are suitable for large scale e-commerce applications or e-commerce websites and social media website, etc. Right? So, when I talk about usage, right, static website can be used for small scale, no, business websites that do not require, right, continuous continuous changes, whereas dynamic websites are suitable for large scale business websites like e-commerce and social media websites. Okay, so these are a couple of differences between the static and dynamic web pages. When you talk about differences of static and dynamic, development wise, static is very easier. Page content wise, static website never change until you change from the source. When it comes to dynamic website, so according to the client request, it is changing, and user interactions also for the dynamic website is very more. Complexity again coming to dynamic website is complex. Database access only having for dynamic but not for static. Cost-wise, dynamic websites are costly to deploy because supporting different server-side language and database access. Maintenance-wise, dynamic websites are very easier for maintenance because if you can change it in the database or somewhere in the source file, then it will automatically update it. No need to disturb or make a change in the original source file. And usage static websites are for small scale and dynamic websites are for large scale. So these are some couple of differences between the static and dynamic websites. So as we talk about the HTML again, HTML, like it's kind of language where we use it to create a static website. So HTML is a language for web pages. We are using it. So HTML uses bracket command called HTML tags that are integrated into a text document. So HTML code can be written in a text editor, like you can use Notepad, you can write it and you can save it as a .html extension or .html, and you can browse it. So basic HTML tags, and again I will discuss in the coming sessions so that you will have more understanding on the HTML tags and HTML. Okay. So these are the different category of websites, and these are the type of websites, and these are the differences between uh, static and dynamic websites. Okay. So thanks for listening this video, and please subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you.